Hey, a self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why the USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about the USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
Big congratulations to Mike Pettengill. Welcome to the studio, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Mike from Personal Protection Academy, which is up in the Inland Empire, and he's actually on the Inland Empire Gun Owners Advisory Board, and he is the Gun Prom Prize winner for Gun Owners Radio episode Takeover. So here you are, taking it over.
Jackson and I are going to take it all over.
That's right. How you doing, man? Thanks for being on.
Good. Happy to be here.
Yeah. How was Gun Prom?
Oh, it was awesome. We spent way too much on raffle tickets and won too many prizes. It was great.
That's the idea. Carla did great. Everybody did great.
It's awesome. Really
Beautiful
good
venue.
event.
And thank you so much for your generosity and your support and everything you do for Inland Empire gun owners. And I'm so glad you're here today.
Yeah, it's fun to be here, and happy to be here as a rep of Inland Empire and of our company, Personal Protection Academy.
Now, you've met Alicia down on the other end there, right?
Just now.
Fantastic, a fellow instructor.
Hey, Mike.
And
Hey, Alicia, how are you?
Good.
and of course, so maybe we should have like an instructor on instructor like debate or something like that. Throw out like 9mm versus 45, and AR versus AK, and
You're
Weaver.
always trying to stump somebody.
Weaver versus isosceles, and all the important arguments.
Ford versus Chevy. We got to throw
No,
it in.
dude, that's not one. And then of course there's Action Jackson. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. I heard you had a fun-filled weekend.
Yeah. Yesterday we went to a house party.
Nice.
A house party.
That's awesome.
Is that like Animal
Congratulations.
House?
No.
Okay, just checking.
He was the animal in that house.
I knew he would be.
Well, that's awesome. Well, it's good to see you, buddy. Okay, so why don't we go around the horn here? Let's start with Gail from San Diego, the executive director from San Diego County Gun Owners. Gail, you there?
I am here.
There she is. How are you, Gail? So what's going on with San Diego County Gun Owners?
So I just want to say that our monthly meetings last month, thank you everybody who came out. They were very well attended, and I hope that you all took away some information that was very important to you. I'll tell you about what's going on this weekend. So we do have a shooting social on Saturday at the gun range, San Diego. On Saturday, some of our amazing tabletop volunteers are going to be out at Josie's Hideout in Santa Isabel. And then some of our other amazing tabletop will be out at Precision Arms in Escondido.
Fantastic. So what do we need? We need folks to sign up and volunteer at the tabletops, right?
Absolutely. That would be ideal. I know our guys would like the help. All our tabletop leaders are amazing, so you don't have to know what you're doing 100% to volunteer at a tabletop.
Yep, we'll train you. All you got to do is go to sdcgo.org/volunteer. Go to our volunteer page, and you can sign up, and we'll train you. You get to go hang out at a gun shop and tell people about the Second Amendment and the organization, and you'll never be alone. We'll always be trained, and it'll always be a good time. Awesome. Anything else? Anything going on, Gail?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Okay, fantastic, Gail. Thank you so much. Let's go on to Carla from Inland Empire Gun Owners.
I am here.
Hi, Carla. How's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Fantastic. We got Mike Pettengill in the studio here today.
Hey, Carla.
Awesome. I'm glad he finally cashed in his Takeover Gun Owners Radio certificate that he won at Gun Prom. Mike and his wife, Erin, are great supporters of the Second Amendment and fantastic advisory board members.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. Very nice. So
Yeah.
what's going on with Inland Empire? What do you got?
Well, we had our first shooting social of the new year on Saturday, which was well attended. Everyone had fun and were safe and learned lots of great techniques. And it was actually pretty even, 3 men, 3 women, so it was good. Our mentors were out there, taking names and showing everybody what to do and how to handle their firearm and transport their firearm safely. And then this week on Wednesday, we have the San Bernardino County CCW at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live and on Zoom. Those links can be found on our website, iegunowners.org. And then we have 2 tabletops coming up on Saturday. The first one will be in Riverside County at Ammo Brothers in Paris, and the other one will be San Bernardino County at Blue Collar Firearms in Colton. And Tricia Kenny, who owns Blue Collar, is also a board member, and she has set up a fantastic deal. If you come out and visit our tabletop at Blue Collar and sign up, you get 10% off any firearm purchase or any ammo purchase. Or if you choose not to get a firearm or ammo, you get 15% off anything else in the store.
Wow, that's cool. Trish is the best. At Blue Collar, she's
the best.
Absolutely the best. What a generous offer. Thank you so much, Blue Collar Firearms. Please check them out this Saturday. Check out the tabletop. You guys need volunteers for your tabletops?
We usually are pretty good on volunteers. We have probably 10 that rotate in and out, so that's pretty good. But we always like new blood.
There you go.
Come out, see what it's all about. You don't have to work it, just kind of see, because being a volunteer can be pretty intimidating if you don't feel like you know the mission statement well enough. But if you just come out and watch, then it gets easier, and you just start talking about what you're passionate about, and that makes you an effective volunteer for us.
Yes, it does. Awesome, Carla. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Orange County. Hey, Mike, check this out. That's a picture of Heather. She's the executive director for Orange County, okay? That's the picture she sent. And she said, here's what she said. She said, hey, all, I'm at Glen Helen Racetrack. Adam's race. Adam's her guy. And it had a late start. Reception's not good. She said she'll try to call in, but she couldn't. Wait, you're not here.
I got it.
Oh, you got it. I was going to read your whole message. Hi, Heather.
Hi. I just found $5 on the ground, too. My day just got even better.
Look at that. All kinds of good stuff. All right, well, launch it. Tell us what's going on with Orange County gun owners.
Well, we had a tabletop here this weekend at On Target Shooting Range in Laguna Niguel. Talked to a lot of great folks, had a couple people sign up to be members. And we had our CCW seminar online on Monday last week. So we had quite a few people call in for that. So hopefully we got some people started to get their CCW here in Orange County. And then this weekend we have it's going to be actually a double header at Rifle Supply, because we're going to have a tabletop there Saturday, and then they have a Cars and Coffee Sunday mornings where everybody comes and parks their cars, and they actually have a contest for the top 5 cars. So we'll be out there representing.
Very cool. And so go to Orange County. What, for more information, go to orangecountygunowners.com or ocgunowners.com?
Yes, OCGonowners or orangecountygunowners.com. We'll have some posts on our social media, too, on it, but you can go there to our events page, and it'll have it. We have volunteer sign-ups if anyone's interested in joining us. Just like Carla said, we have people covering, but we would love to have more volunteers to learn how to do it and get involved.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather.
All right. Thank you so much.
If you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
All right, Mike Pettengill, we already introduced you, of course, winner of the Gun Owners Radio Takeover. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you so much for your generosity. Also, you know what I notice when I'm on Facebook? I think you share Inland Empire gun owner stuff more than anybody else in the whole Facebook universe.
My daughter says that there's only one class of person that's on social media more than me, and that's 12-year-old girls. So
Nice. Congratulations.
got to have something to strive for.
So talk about Personal Protection Academy. How did it all get started? What give us the whole story.
Yeah, so this is actually my third career. So I worked in politics for 12 years. I worked in the state senate in Sacramento for 12 years. Then I worked in full-time Christian ministry for 16 years. And now my wife and I, we've been involved in the Second Amendment for a long time, and really had before we were instructors, we had standing offers to any female that wanted to shoot. We take them to the range and shoot, and so hundreds and hundreds of folks over the last couple of decades, and then we started to move towards being full-time instructors before COVID, and then when COVID hit, everyone we knew bought a gun. Mm-hmm. Put it in a box, put the box in their closet, and felt safe. And that was too much. And
that's
so,
not how it works.
No. There's a couple of steps missing in there. And so we specialize. We started the company, and we really wanted to create a company that for the end user, it was people who were just horrified to step onto a range to begin with.
Now, were you surprised by did people that you never thought would get a gun? Were they the ones that were getting the guns during COVID? You know what I mean? Or did you have any like tofu eating, man bun wearing friends where you're just like that person?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then boom.
You guys have seen the statistics. The group that increased the most during COVID in first time gun ownership was African American women. And then a lot of friends who in the Southern California area are Korean Americans, and they felt they had to purchase guns during COVID because they were getting blamed for they're not from China, but they were getting blamed by morons on the street for bringing this to their country, right? Yeah. And so Asian Americans increased in first time gun purchasing as well during that period, and it wasn't the people you'd think that really stepped forward and said, I got to figure out how to do this. I got to protect my family.
Yeah, it was like the local gun shop owners. It was almost like a contest. They'd call me up and like, Mike, this yoga instructor just came in and bought a gun. And like there was like a contest to see how if they could outdo each other. But which I was happy to hear. I mean, obviously, COVID was horrible. And fear is horrible, and anybody that's afraid or whatever, all the things that that's all horrible. I wish they'd come to it under different circumstances, but the fact that they did come to, what we all already know, which is a firearm's the most effective self-defense tool that ever created.
Right.
I'm glad they came to it, and I'm glad that a lot of people I hear, gun owners and business owners said, "Yep, that was the catalyst to get me even more involved." So I'm glad across the board.
Yeah, and because of my background in politics, I've still got a lot of friends from that era in my life, and a lot of liberal friends, and people who I hadn't talked to in years. I guess I was their only friend they knew who owned guns, so I was getting a lot of messages and saying, "Hey, could you help us, help me and my partner to get a gun? We really want to figure out how to protect ourselves. We don't feel comfortable now." There's a lot of folks that you wouldn't think that it's not the stereotypical cliche of the gun owner, and a lot of folks are buying guns, and that's what a lot of our customers are folks that you wouldn't think as stereotypical gun owners. I would say the vast majority of our customers are first-time gun owners and are females.
Well, how did you get into guns?
So I'm a redneck kid. I grew up shooting everything the wrong way: pistols, rifles, shotguns.
Where'd you grow
up? Far north of Sacramento, so in the redneck part of California, and hunted and was very active in outdoor activities, and then went off to college and got less involved. And then when my wife and I got married, we got a little bit more involved. She actually owns a Glock Gen 2 that she's owned longer than she's owned me. So her dad got that for her as a going away gift to college. And
I think mine's a Gen 2. What's the cutoff for Gen 2? Do you know?
I don't. It's late in the 80s.
Oh, well then, no. Is it?
Yeah.
Mine was manufactured in 94.
You're probably a Gen 3.
I guess it's a Gen 3. Okay, right.
Yeah, so
I was all excited.
Yeah, well, you get a Gen 1. If you get a Gen 1, then
because it's got no rail. Mine's got no rail. It's got no rail.
Right.
Mine was. They didn't. I don't know when did they start putting rails on guns? Late 90s at least.
It's easy to figure out if you look at the grip, look at the frame, and then with the way they did the stimpling and the finger grips and everything. That's easy way to tell.
Yeah.
But so
anyway,
got less involved in guns through college, more involved when my wife and I got married, and then got really active. Started to get instructor certifications for the heck of it. My father-in-law bought us memberships out at Frontsight Firearms Academy out west of Vegas, and I ultimately became an instructor out there, and then just
really? You were an instructor out there?
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, since the non-disclosure agreement is null and void because they went under in November of this last year, it was some of the best instructing I've seen and some of the worst management I've seen of an organization, and that's what drove it under was Piazza, the guy who ran the thing, and but the instructors, I tell you, in front of students, the instructors were tight-lipped. Oh, we love how things are going. This is great. Just hold on, everything's good. You get the instructors at lunch break beside, off to the side. They're like, "What the heck is going on? This is ridiculous how this place is being run."
That's too bad. It's hard to. I don't want to jump on them because how many people you think went through there? How many people, who never maybe heard hardly touched a gun before? How many people did he bring, at least to a level that was, that surpassed where they were at? Because he was doing a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. They were running 20 to 25,000 people a year in their heyday through there, and they introduced a lot of people to self defense, and
which is great.
Yeah, you can knock some of their techniques, and when there's a lot of things that when I teach today I ignore. I don't teach that stuff, and but there's a lot of stuff that I hold over. I teach a drawing from the holster class, ripped it straight off from Frontsight, just stole it lock, stock, and barrel. And it's good technique. And
I used to take their 4-day pistol just about every year.
Yeah.
And I even no matter what, and I just took it because I liked once a year spending at least 2, but usually about 3 days.
Yeah. Terrible phone service.
Terrible phone service.
Couldn't be distracted.
But just like, hey, it reminds me of, there's an old story about Vince Lombardi and the Packers were kicking butt, and they went out and they lost a game, and he brought them all out to the field, and the first thing he said to them was, "This is a football." Basically broke them all back down and said, "I don't care if you guys are world champions or not, let's get back to basics." That's what Frontsight was for me.
Yeah.
Look, this is a gun. This is how you hold it, and it prevented me from getting sloppy, somewhat, or at least help me a little bit.
I never was a fanboy of Frontsight, but I liked it for what it was. It introduced you to new techniques. Yeah, it really focused on the fundamentals. The safety was really strong, which is what a lot of what Alicia and I are doing is no, don't point your gun there. No, don't put your hand there. That's not.
Well, I think what you just said is perfect. I was, never a fanboy, but a lot of stuff they were doing was great.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to. Put them up on a pedestal. It's too high, but I don't think we need to trash them either. It is what it is.
It doesn't make any difference. They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. Well, so do you know what can you tell us?
Prairie fire. So to start with, it was the poor man's gun sight, and everything comes from Jeff Cooper. It doesn't. You can dog the techniques of Jeff Cooper and gun sight and all that, but everything you call modern pistol today originates from there and just tweaks from that, right? And then Frontsight, when it went under, it was when they went through bankruptcy. They were bought out by a company called Prairie Fire that was in Texas, and they focus a lot on defensive handgun work, but it's also it's a lot of competition work, which is cool. I do competition, I do shooting competitions, but it's not for everybody, and that's a big central focus of what they do.
Do you know? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you know if you have a Frontsight membership? Where are you now with the Prairie Fires?
Yeah, I
not that you're an official spokesperson, but
no,
what's
I'm
your
not.
Understanding?
I'm not, and I, to be honest, once it closed on November 30th, I just left it behind, but I know that I think it's for a year. Don't quote me. It's for a year. I think if you have a Frontsight membership, they will give you a discounted membership at Prairie Fire, and I don't know what the discount is, but they're trying to get Frontsight folks to just carry over to Prairie Fire.
You know what I was always impressed with at Frontsight? I mean, I agree. They're the quality of the instruction was top notch. But one of the maybe the less obvious things is how people bonded with the instructors.
Yeah.
I mean, they just loved the instructors. There'd be a small group of people in each class. They were going out for drinks and dinner and hanging out, and and you'd request that instructor time and time again. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it was fun. For me, the reason why I was a part-time instructor at Frontsight was on Dr. Piazza's dime. I would get to work a line with 40 students.
Yeah,
and I got to meet people who had specific problems I still have not come across as a private instructor. Folks that had paralysis and just fear, and just great folks. Meet a lot of neat people there.
Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County and self-defense rights. If you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, join OCGunOwners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is the Do Something organization to restore and defend Second Amendment. Volunteer at a shooting social as a gun shop, tabletop, and help pro-gun locals officials get elected. Save the date. Orange County Gun Prom is May 20th. Become a member today. OCGunOwners.com/join.
So we're talking to Inland Empire Gun Owners board member and, of course, owner-operator of Personal Protection Academy up in Inland Empire, Mike Pettengill. So we were talking about Frontsight. We were talking about how you got into, being an instructor and shooting and all that other good stuff. But let's take a step back and go into you said you worked for the state senate.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Did policy analysis. Had a poli-sci degree undergrad, and went straight into lobbying, and then moved in I think '96 into the state capitol. And as a conservative, you redefine what a victory is when you work in Sacramento. If you could make a bill a little less offensive, it was a good win, right? And but that was fun. It was my whole time there was bill analysis. So I'd read the bills and interpret what they said and brief the senators. And
so this was, you said you started in '96?
Yeah, 96 through 94 through 2006.
94 through 2006.
Yeah,
That's when things the '90s. California wasn't always this way,
right?
And the '90s is really when that all kicked off.
Yeah,
'60s, '70s, and '80s, California was still, fairly reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember it's the state that produced Ronald Reagan. From within the State House, and Nixon. It's not exactly a left wing state. Its origins are have deep roots in conservative philosophies. But in that time that I was there, they had the last Republican governor we call Schwarzenegger a Republican, but he was the last officially Republican governor. They had
Pete Wilson, right?
Pete Wilson. They had Duke Majan. They had, and then they had the Republicans had the Assembly for 2 years. And I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm a conservative. I was always a conservative before I was a Republican. And like Reagan said, Reagan was asked and what was thought to be a gotcha question, Mr. Reagan, why did you leave the Democrat Party? He said, well, I didn't leave them. They left me.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave the Republican Party. They left me. I'm a conservative, and that's how I vote.
I left the Republican Party, or whatever. They left me, whatever. I am no longer a Republican.
Yeah.
And it was because what they were doing, what they were not doing on guns, and then COVID. And I just said, I'm done.
Right.
You guys, good luck. I took my ball and went and built my own baseball field.
You went home
and said, that's it. I'm done with it. What what do you think? What do you think it is, man? Like what? I don't. It's probably not any one thing that happened in California, but how would you describe what happened in the '90s that everything started changing?
So one of the big things was a lot of people don't remember was Focus on the Family was a big Christian organization was in Orange County, right? Mm-hmm. And they were Christian activists and they had a Christian lobbying entity. They had Christian media, and when they decided, hey, we're gone, and they picked up lock, stock, and barrel, and they went to Colorado Springs, that took thousands of conservative voters out of Orange County, and it started just with Orange County. It started the movement away from conservative philosophies, and that was a big chunk of it that occurred, and it just went downhill from there because people followed Focus on the Family to Colorado and so on and so forth. But what occurred was the liberals really started to do media and vocabulary better than the Republicans do. There's the cliche, you've got the evil party and the stupid party, and the liberals started to really manipulate the culture through media and through rebranding of language. Like you guys talk about a lot here, the assault weapon and the Saturday night special and the creating things that would just make the average person, I can't be a part of that. I mean, that sounds awful, right? And they became masters of the English language, and the dumb party didn't.
Republicans have always had a problem with messaging.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I don't. Say what you will about Trump, but that's what he was getting right.
Yeah.
Is the ability to deliver a message.
Yeah. It's kind of hilarious. You look at Trump and you think that it took a billionaire to reach blue collar people throughout the middle part of the country.
Yeah. Well, but go okay. So Trump got that right. He was able to deliver a message. Obama got it right. He was able to deliver a message.
Yeah.
Clinton got it right.
Yeah,
he was
great
able to
politician.
deliver a message. You know what I mean? And that whole. If you look at, I feel your pain. Mm-hmm. Remember Bill Clinton? I feel your pain. He didn't sit there and talk about statistics and, well, really, what we should be doing. And I feel your pain.
Right.
And what was Obama's big? What was when he was running? What was his hope and change? Right.
Hope and change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hope and change is perfect.
Who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want hope and change? Yeah. And your hope, if I tell you, Alicia, Dave, and Mike, if I say, hey, guys, we're going to focus on hope and change, Dave's hope and change is going to be different from Alicia's hope and change is going to be different from yours.
And who's going to say no?
And we're all envisioning something different, but the end goal is the same. We get what we want.
Right. So I don't know. There's this guy that we're actually trying to get on the show. His name's Jonathan. I believe it's pronounced Haidt, Haidt, and he wrote a book not long ago, about 10 years ago, that just completely and totally revolutionized political messaging. And I'm a big believer. And he talks about how there's 6 moral foundations that people base their political opinions on, and they're things like liberty,
right,
and things like sanctity. Like if you say, hey, it's the Constitution. That's an argument on sanctity. Like we have to do it because it's in the Constitution, that sort of thing. Authority, but there are 2, and he found out that out of these 6, the right generally kind of values all 6 of them, kind of relates to and values all 6 of them equally. But the left really only value 2, and that's caring and fairness.
Right.
And if you think about that, I'm sure in your experience,
right,
that's that emotion. That I feel your pain, that hope and change,
right.
It's all about caring and fairness. We know we care about people. It's not fair that they have to work hard or whatever, right?
And you redefine what caring and caring and hope is. That if you don't support just common sense gun control, you don't care.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And the average person I care. I want to. I want things to be good, and it's so easy to have the right message and get past what you want.
Well, it is, and then we make the mistake of saying, It's in the Constitution. It's a God-given right. Oh, okay. Well, that's authority. That's sanctity. They don't really value that.
Right.
Rather than saying, hey, look, I care about single moms. They got to be able to defend themselves.
Right.
It's not fair that you can't defend yourselves against, racists, but cops, they can, because they get to care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We totally missed that. And we're trying to get this guy on the show to talk to him more about it, but he completely and totally revolutionized political messaging. I see it all the time now. I see it all the time. The left, the right, Republicans, Democrats, they focus on this caring and fairness, and I got to tell you, it's like magic.
Yeah.
And
but you can only do it once if you don't stand behind what you promise.
Well, that's a fact.
No, you just redefine what victory is each time.
Right.
So it used to be, and you guys have talked about this before. It used to be the Saturday Night Specials, and it's the assault weapon, assault rifle. Now it's the assault weapon, and you say, "Well, I'm in favor of an assault weapon ban," but then you look at it, and it's every gun you could possibly want to own.
Yeah, it's everything.
Right.
It's just gun.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter assault or not or whatever. It's just gun now.
And they don't call themselves. They're not gun control organizations anymore. They've eliminated that. They've tested that out. That people don't want control.
They're gun safety.
Yeah, they're all about gun safety.
I had it was Petrolino, John Petrolino, who's just an awesome guy. I love him to death. And he and I were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, they call themselves gun safety. Okay, great. Well, where do I take your gun safety class?
Yeah,
where are you guys teaching gun safety? Because I actually teach gun safety. He wrote a whole book on gun safety. So." Where's their their gun safety education? But
ours is to take away all your guns.
That's what
that's our idea of gun safety.
So
what's yours?
What was the best part about Sacramento? You were up there for what, 12 years?
Yeah. So worked in politics for at some level for 20 years in the state capitol for 12 years. And like I said, it was you redefine victory differently to be a conservative in that kind of environment. But if you could take a horrible bill and make it just a little bit better, that was victory. And so the gun control movement was really getting its teeth right as I was there, and to be able to tweak it a little bit and make it less offensive was good.
What did you enjoy though? Was there, when you look back at those 12 years, is there something where you're just like, man, I'm so proud of this. This is so great. Or was there a senator you have a lot of respect for? Or
yeah, I actually worked for Inland Empire senators while I was there. As Ray Haynes and Dennis Hollingsworth were the guys that I worked with. I'll tell you what, it won't be what you're thinking. The thing that I was most proud of at the time was I would go into a committee as the Republican policy representative, and I would get in a fight and scream and shout about policy from 8 a.m. till noon with my Democrat counterpart, and who was environmentalist, homosexual activist, and then we'd go out and have lunch together, and then we'd come back together again at 2, and we'd scream at each other until about 6, and then I'd say, "Okay, I'll see you this weekend when I coach your kids in soccer." That doesn't exist anymore. That's not possible anymore.
I was going to say that's about 20 years ago.
It's like the old cartoons where they clock in and clock out and fight.
Yeah.
No.
Sam and George.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every day. We're close to the ocean as well as the desert, mountains, and SDFTI instructors can help you learn to navigate around the international border and military bases. Why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in sunny San Diego, right at Montgomery Field. Get started. It's really easy. Give them a call, 858-569-1822. Learn to fly with SDFTI, or just call them at 858-569-1822.
We actually, by the way, we had a How to Get Your CCW seminar hosted by our very own Desi at SDFTI, and there were like 30 people that showed up. It was awesome. It was very, very cool. So thank you to SDFTI, and thank you to everybody that showed up, and of course, thank you to Desi for doing a fantastic job.
And by the way, you get a discount if you tell them that you're with a gun owners radio listener. You get a discount if you decide to fly.
Oh, nice. Have you gone yet?
Which you should do.
I'm not gonna. I don't
Come
care.
on. I want to see you in a Piper Cup.
I took a couple lessons.
A little 150.
I know.
I
took a couple of lessons in a Cessna 172 when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, I told you about mine. I just went to there because it said free.
They didn't have planes when you.
No,
were
they had free flying lessons
they hadn't
every
invented them
Saturday.
yet.
I went every Saturday.
Oh, really?
Well, it said free flying lessons every Saturday.
It was you and Orville out at
No.
Is the Wright brothers?
No, but after the third one, he says, "When are you going to sign up?" I go, "I don't have to because the sign says free flying
Yeah,
lessons."
oh, that's right. I remember that story.
Yeah. And they wouldn't let me come back. Oh, well.
So, Mike, we were talking about, and I think there's so many things that led to the change in California. And I don't, it's not just liberal versus conservative or, Democrat versus Republican. A Democrat in California is not a Democrat in West Virginia.
Right.
There was an enormous change, and it's so much more complicated, I think, than people talk about it. And I think that there was religious versus non-religious components. There were, yes, Republican versus non-Republican. There was, progressives and libertarians started coming around. A lot of things happened, but there's one thing that I think really, really kind of set the ability for all this to happen that very few people talk about. And there really is. There's a big difference. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on this. There's a huge difference in this country between rural and urban. If you look at the political makeup of the urban and rural areas of the country, it's enormously different. And you see this a lot. Illinois is a huge sea of red and a tiny little speck of blue where Chicago is. New York is similar. And one of the things I think that led to it here in California is they got rid of static Senate districts. It used to be when California was invented, each county had its own senator, and we truly had a bicameral system. And honestly, now we don't have a bicameral system. They have two houses, but there just isn't any difference between the two. They're both, they redraw the lines according to population. And what that's done is, if we went back to, we have 58 counties. If we did have one senator or almost one senator per county, you wouldn't have this huge fight between the rural and urban areas. Right now, L.A. and San Francisco pretty much rule the whole state.
Right.
And I think that kind of set the context. It gave the ability for some of the extremism that has happened to happen in California. Yeah,
it started. The districting aspects that you're talking about, that it started on racial issues, where that you would have. See if I can describe this with my words, so it's better radio than it is a class discussion. Think of putting a pie tin over a downtown area, and if you can, in that downtown area is predominantly African Americans, and you want to dilute their play and their involvement in politics, then you slice that pie so that you divide their power amongst the 5 or 6 different districts. That's why that kind of thing started, as grotesque as it is, right? It was to dilute African American involvement in politics. Well, it became what we know as gerrymandering now, which is, it became less of a racial issue and more of an interest issue, so that we can create less, so that the party in power, and both parties do it, so that the party in power can give the party out of power less involvement in the process, and impact things. And so, yeah, when the Democrats took over in California with a great fervor, they created gerrymandering of districts so that the Republicans had less and less and less influence. You now have a Republican Party that has less than 30% Republican registration in the state of California, and there's more independents and declined estates than there are Republicans. It's just it's not an issue. And I come from, like I said, the far northern part of California, redneck area, and it really is a worldview difference. So you have urban mentality and rural mentality, and you're just never going to see eye to eye. People are never going to understand each other, and so if you can just push the people out that don't agree with you and have less to fight about, it makes your life easier.
And I think that it's a solvable problem, though. I do because there was, and you're absolutely right. It started off as a racial thing in the South, and there was a Supreme Court decision. I think it was the Sims decision.
Right.
Is that what?
Yeah.
And they, this idea that they couldn't have static districts, I think, was a misinterpretation. First off, I think it was at very least a misinterpretation of that decision, because California wasn't a part of it. They just said, "Hey, we're going to do this." Because of the Supreme Court decision, or at worst, the Supreme Court was just wrong, that it's not unconstitutional to have a static, just like the state or just like the federal senates, we had the state senate. And I got to tell you, I wish there would be a push to get back to that. I wish that that we could have one senator per county. I think it would solve a lot of problems, not just with guns, not just with whatever, but like water. Water issues.
Yeah.
When you have LA going, hey, we don't care about rural whatever. We want our water. Screw you guys. Go grow your food some other way. There's a lot of issues I think it would solve.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's and again, both sides do it equally. Both sides abuse the process of gerrymandering. If you look at you look at conservative states, they do it, and you look at Democrat states, they do it, and yeah, it really does butcher the political process so that you have extremists on both sides.
So do you think that a model like Inland, what drew you to Inland Empire gun owners?
So one of the things that I do when I teach my classes is I start off by telling people you have to get involved. If you own a gun, you have to get involved at the state, at the local, and at the federal level. And so when I teach my classes, I'll hand out packets that have Inland Empire gun owners literature in it, and have Second Amendment Foundation literature in it, and has California Rifle and Pistol Association literature in it, so that people can get involved. And so what drew my wife and I to Inland Empire gun owners was just the ability to, at the local level, have an impact on preserving our Second Amendment rights in politics, and not just, but yes, politics, absolutely, but having a voice with our neighbors and being able to, the people around us that maybe are on the fence on the issue of Second Amendment, and trying to be able to influence them and impact their views of gun ownership.
That's awesome. How long have you been on the board now?
Not long, about a year now.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate all the hard work. I think Carla's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, they're doing great.
And what do you think? I mean, do you think this is the way? Do you think that we need to get back to good old fashioned roll up your sleeves, or do you think California's a lost cause? Nothing's ever going to get better, and nothing's going to work.
You have to fight. You have to fight. If I was standing across the ring from Mike Tyson, I'd say you still have to fight. You still got to throw your punches. I don't think it gets. I don't think it becomes more liberty-oriented and less government-oriented in my lifetime.
Well, it's almost like, it's fighting this fight, the Second Amendment, especially in a place like California. It's almost like it really just doesn't have anything to do with winning. I mean, we want to win. That's the goal, and we're moving the ball forward. But if that's not the only, if that's the only reason, I think you're going to be sorely disappointed. You're going to fight for the wrong reasons. You're not going to last long. You fight this fight because it's the right thing to do. It's the right
2 minutes.
Fight,
Yeah, and it's true. But what you guys talk about week in and week out is that at the federal level, at the state level, in D.C. and in Sacramento, it matters.
Yeah.
But how much more have you seen recently our Second Amendment rights be chipped away at the city and the county level more and more and more?
Yeah.
And I think with San Diego gun owners and Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners, the aspect of focusing on water boards and school boards and park boards and city councils and county board of supervisors, more and more, those are the folks that are limiting what we can and can't do as gun-owning Americans.
Yep. So how soon will we be a threat?
We already are.
We already are. We're impacting the system now.
Right. Inland Empire Gun Owners strives to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. So you need to become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment right. That's iegunowners.com/join.
All right, we got a couple of announcements. Gun Owners Radio Range Day on April 23rd. You can shoot outdoors, you're going to shoot on steel, and you're going to do some move and shoot in the Grove, which is very, very fun and very, very cool. If you've never done it, this is the time. And then I screwed this up last weekend, too. Do we have a ruling on how to pronounce that? Ex
nothing official.
nihilo.
Yes, you did that very well.
Oh, thank you. And Franklin Armory will have a product for demo.
Do we get to share what that is, or are we keeping it a surprise?
No, go for it. What did Franklin Armory send?
They sent us a California rostered CA320.
Nice.
Which, wink, wink, is a lot like a P320.
Wink,
and they are also, it's not arrived yet, they're also sending us an F-17, which is a rifle.
Wow.
It's a
And
piston
that'll be at the range day, available for people to shoot to their heart's content.
Correct.
Very, very cool. Normally it's $100. It's only $20 for 10 ring members. So sign up today. It's limited, so you might run out of space. So go to gunownersradio.com, and sign up for Gun Owners Radio Range Day on April 23rd. Nice, really cool outdoor range. Orange County Gun Prom, save the date, May 20th, 2023. Orange County Gun Prom. We're going to have information up on gunprom.com, but right now we want you to save the date, May 20th, 2023. You can buy tickets and attend, even if you don't live in Orange County. It's going to be at the Orange Hill Restaurant again, which is a beautiful location. So please, please, please save the date and buy tickets to Orange County Gun Prom. Should be a lot of fun. Heather's already putting it all together and making it happen. Joe Dramisi, Gun Owners Radio's Joe Dramisi, is hosting a 4-hour pepper spray and situational awareness class on Saturday, March 18th. It's in El Cajon, and you can sign up by going to uscca.com, their website right there. You're going to look for the March 18 pepper spray and situational awareness class by our very own Joe Dramisi. Thank you, Joe, for doing that. It's awesome. And then win free training. Win a free 2-hour drawing from the holster with, right here in the studio, Mike Pettengill. Enter the drawing at gunownersradio.com/train. Gunownersradio.com/train. Do you want to talk about that, Mike? What are they going to?
Well, we won't be doing that here in the studio.
No.
No.
Well,
yeah.
Might
So
be interesting. It'll make
We
it
have
sporty.
insulation. We have insulation.
it'd make everyone
And insurance.
make everyone move faster.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically what I tell folks all the time is if someone says, "Oh, hey, I hear you're a firearms instructor." Yeah, I am. Yeah. I've got my CCW. I'm like, great. My first question is, when's the last time you drew a live weapon from your holster?
A what?
What is that something I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
So you anticipate that the first time you'll do that is when your life depends on it.
That's not the right time.
Yeah, no. So that's something that I talk to a lot of people about all the time. And I don't care if you take it from me or you take it from somebody else. You've got to learn to draw that weapon from your purse, from your MRS, from your appendix, from your strong side, wherever you carry is great. But you've got to learn that the magic in drawing from a holster is that special trigger finger and what you do with it and how you keep it out of the way and keep it off the trigger until you're pointed in. But yeah, in this class, it's we move slow. We start with dry weapons and everything goes real slow. And then once you can do it safe, then we put a round in it and have you draw real slow for the first time, and then put a round on target. And after a couple hours, people are usually able to, you're not looking at a lot of 1.25 draws, but people are able to safely get a loaded firearm out of their drawers.
What's the secret? What's the secret to a fast draw?
To a fast draw is I know where you're going with this. Is the secret to a fast draw is to perfect the basics. Is to be really, really good at the basics.
Yeah. What is it? Fast? What is it? Fast as
smooth and smooth as slow.
Slow as smooth and smooth as
that
fast.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it is. We get it. Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
Now, how long did you live in a county where you get a CCW years ago, or have things changed recently?
So long ago, growing up, it was Sutter County, and then it was Sacramento County, and those were all no-goes at the time, and then moving into Riverside County, and being able to walk alongside the Sheriff Bianco there, and my wife and I were able to get in line before he came around, and then get approved right after he got put in office. So.
Now, you've met a lot of politicians.
Yeah.
You've met a lot of elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
Not always one and the same. Those are two separate groups of people.
Yeah.
Politicians and elected officials. I got to tell you, I don't know if I've met as many as you have, but I've met my fair share, and Chad Bianco is probably my favorite.
Yeah, there's a difference, and it's kind of cliche, but there's a difference between a politician and a public servant. It's someone that really doesn't care about the next office. That's not what they're looking for, and they're not looking for if they can get their book deal, or if they can, get some swag out of the deal. What they're looking for is to sleep less and work more so that they can better their community.
Yeah, and I think that's Chad. I think that's Sheriff Bianco.
I think so too.
I really, really, truly like the guy. So what brought you to Riverside then? From Sacramento, you were working in Sacramento. What brought you to Riverside?
So hopefully my family's not listening to this, but it's a sad tale. We lived out of country for 10 years, and we moved back into California after being gone for 10 years, and we got to choose wherever we wanted in Southern California. So I hadn't lived near my brother since I was 9 years old, and so we thought, well, let's move. Not only in the same city, but let's buy a condo 4 doors down from my brother. And a year and a half after we bought the condo, he and his family and adult kids all moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So, well, thank you.
There you are.
Goodbye.
It was that bad, huh?
Yeah. I was.
Welcome to California, and I'm leaving.
Creepy Uncle Mike, and see you guys.
Well, that's cool. Riverside's beautiful, though.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Great place yeah. So stay. And okay, and how long have you been? You said you was right around COVID when you started your business.
Yeah.
And talk about, where do you guys actually train?
So we can train at a couple different places, but we do the vast majority of our work at Rainbow Range, which is the northern tip of San Diego County.
Debbie, and you must know Debbie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah,
she's the best in the whole world.
Good folks there.
Debbie and Ben are great.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed working alongside of them. The range is really cool. The staff's really cool.
Also, by the way, speaking of Debbie, they're actually doing and I'm not prepared for this, so you're going to have to do some of your own research. But Mike, you just reminded me, they're doing a Friends of the NRA dinner coming up in just a few weeks. I think it's like March. It's like the second Saturday.
I think it's the 18th.
March 18th.
I believe.
I think you're right. March 18th, Friends of the NRA dinner in Marietta.
I think Temecula.
Temecula? It's in Temecula. Go to the Friends of the NRA website and check it out. But support that group, because Ben and Debbie are just absolutely fantastic.
Good
So
folks.
go to Friends of the NRA dinner in Riverside County.
Yeah, and if you don't get the right address, it's okay.
Email us. I'll tell you what. If you're listening,
do it without you.
Yeah. If you're interested and you just can't find it because I'm doing this plug unprepared, then just email Gun Owners Radio.
Just look for the Denny's on the corner with the lights on.
That's where I'll be.
That's
where I'll be.
I know you will. You won't give them up. Hey, a lot of companies are really unhappy with their websites. Looks old, out of date, it's not getting customers. Well, Sage Tree's got it and gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is easy. Just call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. Get your website fixed today.
What happy intro music that was.
I thought so. I was topping my show.
I saw that.
I know.
It was very cool. So we're talking to Mike Pettengill from, of course, Personal Protection Academy. He's the owner and head instructor. And how many instructors do you have?
Including me and my wife, 2.
Excellent. How did your wife get into shooting?
Long before me. So we were both in the Army. I never once qualified as an expert in the M16. She never didn't qualify as an expert in the M16, and she likes to remind me of that periodically.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and
Probably has a T-shirt.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I met my future father-in-law about 32 years ago, literally it was just like this. Mike, it's so good to meet you. We've heard a lot about you. Do you like guns? do you want to come see my gun collection?
Son.
And you knew. That's when you
that's when I
you
knew.
were on the fence until
Yeah.
Yes, I am selling my '89 Chevy van. Not for you to worry.
And what did you do for the Army?
My wife was pretty cool. She was in a Patriot battalion, so she was
the missile
anti-missile, and she was in West Germany when there was an East and West Germany, and mine was a little less cool. It was operating room technician. The doctor would say scalpel, I hand him a scalpel, that kind of stuff.
Wow, so that's interesting. How did you go that direction?
So I graduated from college with a political science degree in a year that California passed an initiative, it would be 92, to limit the amount spent on elected officials by 40%, which meant 40% of their staff was going to leave. So I'm like, well, that was a bad time to get that degree. So I went to the Army for a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, how did you pick that? Do they call them MOSs? Is that what
yeah.
How did you pick that?
I probably picked it for him.
No,
did it get picked for you?
No. I wanted something that was in the medical field.
What did you go in as?
I went in as an E4.
Okay.
Had a bachelor's degree, went in as an E4, and I wanted something to give me practical medical skills
that you could use when you get back out.
Yeah, right. So, operating room technician, and you had to be a medic to be an operating room technician.
I drove an M88 tank retriever.
Do you do that today?
I've been looking. I have yet to see a job.
Kind of.
Kind of.
What are you driving out there today? What is that, a Volkswagen or something?
A Volkswagen.
That's the same thing.
I know. But it was the darndest thing, Then
put a turret on it. You'll be fine.
I know. There you go. Halfway there.
Well, that's really awesome. So what kind of training should owners, when they get their CCW, what kind of training should they get?
So there's two things that I talk about. And I would love to hear what Alicia has to say on this too. One of the first things I tell people all the time is holster training. We talked about that already. And another one that we talked about tangentially is Joe Dramisi's class on situational awareness. And whether it's NRA's got Refuse to be a Victim, and there's a bunch of other courses out there that have curriculums or instructors that have written their own, but situational awareness, just kind of knowing what to look for and knowing what to avoid, right? I think a lot of people go get their CCW and they think they're going to be a cop, or they think they're going to be Batman. And when I tell them the story of my wife asked me, she said, honey, can I ask you a question that as a man may not make you very happy? I'm like, well, number one, that's not how you start a conversation. But yeah, go ahead. She said, so when we were younger, you were always the guy that would chase after the shoplifter, or you would go after the hit and run guy, or you would stand between a man who's smacking around a woman. We don't do that anymore. We don't get in the middle of stuff. You steer me around stuff when I don't see stuff. Why is that? And I said, because that guy's smacking that woman around. I really, as a father of a daughter and a husband of 30 years, I'd really like to give that guy peace of my mind. But if we enter into that with firearms on our hips and he turns on us, I may be taking someone's husband, someone's son, someone's dad away from them, and that's not my role. And I think a lot of people get into, let's just go ahead and say it, a lot of guys get into the CCW life as I'm going to become Batman. And I actually had a guy walk out of my class and at break and said, hey, I can't come back. And I said, oh, did I offend you? He said, no, you woke me up. He said, I had a CCW in another state for 20 years and I thought I was Batman. And you convinced me that that's not what I should be doing. And
you have to learn discernment.
So yeah, I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was everyone's hero, and that's the fact that I need to avoid this more. I need to avoid conflict more than I used to. Is something I never thought about, and I'm horrified at myself. And so situational awareness is a big part.
That's interesting. What, Alicia, what do you think?
Well, I agree with everything he's saying. You know, you have to learn, just because you have this tool on your person doesn't mean that every solution needs to come from that tool. And that's sometimes a hard thing for people to grasp. I think it's like a one-size-fits-all solution to every problem. And you have to learn discernment. You have to learn de-escalation. You have to learn, you don't have to get involved in, you don't have to take every invitation that you receive. You don't have to accept and show up and be there. And in addition to everything that Mike said, you know, another training thing that I feel is critically important is just the whole concept and idea of defensive shooting. You know, defensive shooting training is different than marksmanship. You know, I don't know how Mike feels, but I feel it's important to start with the foundation of marksmanship. You learn what that gun feels like in your hand. You know what it feels like when it's level. You know what it feels like when your grip is solid. And you take that platform and then you push it further and you push yourself to learn defensive shooting.
Yeah, I talk to people all the time. I say, okay, we're going to start with marksmanship because that's the basics. And then we're going to take you into defensive shooting. Well, what's
the difference?
It's a gun. It makes
right.
It goes bang and things come out. And it's a completely different mindset. And I think the last one I would put on this list is something that my wife is doing right now as we speak. Is we have a tactical medicine class, and if you're learning to put holes in people, you should learn to patch holes in people too. That the concept of carrying around tourniquets and having chest seals at your disposal and quick clot and that kind of thing. If you're going to be living a lifestyle that involves firearms, you also need to know how to plug those holes too.
And if not for them, for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're it's a cliche, but it's true. You're so much more likely to need a tourniquet in your life than you are a firearm.
Yep.
Well, and you were talking about getting involved, you know, and you know, somebody, you know, jumping in between people or whatever, you know, chasing down a purse snatcher or whatever. Just in the last 20, definitely in the last 30 years, the world has changed.
Yeah.
It's changed as far as, you know, attorneys, and it's changed as far as just how aggressive people have gotten.
The street response, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it was the idea that, you know, hey, man, you know, cool off, everything, whatever. Like that being able to work 20 years ago and that being able to work today are two completely different things.
Yeah.
I mean, domestic, you know, squabbles were always dangerous, and, you know, people would always escalate things. But these days, it just seems like the percentage of situations that get escalated to ungodly heights is through the roof.
People will shoot you or stab you for looking at them the wrong way.
For nothing.
It's again, it's cliche, but it's so true. You just got to avoid. You got to know what eye contact is appropriate and what's not.
Or even if they perceive it, even if you didn't actually do it.
Right.
Their
Exactly.
perception.
Yeah.
You know, 10 years I had to use pepper spray, and I've told that story. I'm not going to tell the whole story again, but I had to use pepper
go
spray.
ahead.
No, I'm not going to tell the story. But I was talking to, so I pepper sprayed, there were 6 people. I pepper sprayed 3 of them. And one of them was 17. We found out later. And the reason I found out later is I got a call from juvenile court. You know, somebody was assigned to that person's case. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen to this guy? They basically called and said, look, did he damage anything? You know, we you know, part of the process that we're putting him through is he has to pay for any damages or whatever. So I made him buy me a new bottle of pepper spray, Mike. I was like, yeah, it was like,
that's good.
Yeah, it was like $16. I want, you know, so
yeah.
I got to check. But during the discussion with this person, with this employee of the court, I was like, well, what's going to happen? They're like, well, you know, basically nothing. And I'm going, you know, this was pretty bad, you know? And she's just like, yeah, I hear you, you know, just kind of. And I was like, all right. And I took time out of my day and I lectured this lady and I said, you know, I'm betting that this file is not anywhere near the worst on your desk. But I'm also betting that 30 years ago, this would have been the absolute worst file on your desk. And the reason that it's not the worst file on your desk today is because you guys aren't going to do anything. This guy's basically, he's raising his hand and saying, hey, I'm an enormous problem. You need to take extreme steps. Society, I do not fit in society. And you guys are ignoring all of that, and that change over the last 20, 30 years, I think that everybody wants to be a hero and everybody wants to be helpful, but man, there are fewer and fewer situations where I think that's sane. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and pepper spray is another good option. We talk about all the time that if you've got to hammer everything that looks like a nail, and having that secondary or that maybe primary option of pepper spray, number one, learning to de-escalate, learning to use your big boy words, and being able to get out of a situation. Yes, sir, you're right. I am less of a man than you, and you probably could get my wife. Have a good day.
You'll never see him again. Who cares?
Yeah, and guys can't do that as well as women can, unfortunately. But having the ability to de-escalate, situational awareness, having a primary distance option like pepper spray or a taser is a great option to have, and then using your firearm as your backup option.
Yeah, we actually just had John Correa on last week to talk about pepper spray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really, truly, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If I hadn't started San Diego County gun owners, I would have started San Diego County pepper spray owners.
Yeah.
Really, really believe in it and how important it is to carry, even if you have a CCW. Maybe even especially if you have a CCW.
Absolutely.
It's even more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, this is awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you. When we get back from the break, I want to talk to you about one of the questions we get a lot is how much training should somebody take? Let's talk about that. Like what volume, if you're going to carry daily, how much should you actually, what's the minimum requirement as far as classes and time in?
Great.
But first, we're going to take a quick break. Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's 1,000 pounds bigger?
Nope.
Well, that's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. Ever. And I mean ever. For women, led by Women That Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. Sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and Inland Empire. So get the help today by joining notmesd.org.
Big thank you, by the way, to Foothills Church. They had me come out and talk, me and, of course, Bill Deasy from CCW USA. Had me come talk. They told me, big thank you to Jenny, by the way. Jenny did a fantastic job. They had me come out and talk. They said, hey, a lot of our, we want you to come out and talk about CCWs, Second Amendment activism, that sort of thing. I said, okay, great. So went there, and her name's Jenny, and she introed, and she gave one of the most passionate, statistic-filled Second Amendment talks. I was going, oh my gosh, I don't even want to, like, I'm just going to go home. This great lady's great. Anyway, they did such a good job. And so I got about, 5 minutes into my talk, and I'm thinking I'm talking to people that are kind of, maybe new to the subject, So I finally said, how many people here are gun owners? Like everybody's hand. Okay, I'm literally preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
So, so I changed the speech a little bit. And we really got into more of the meat and potatoes of it. But man, Foothills Church, you guys were awesome. Thank you all so very much. Phil Ortiz, who's also a city council member for El Cajon, and Gary Kendrick, city councilman for El Cajon as well. Both of you guys were there. Appreciate you guys arranging all that. Very, very cool. Hey, before we get any further, Action Jackson, I think you have a very special question for our guest, don't you?
Yes, I do.
All right, what is it?
What's your favorite gun?
Good question.
That is a good question. So, little background, Action. I am a fanboy. I have not missed a Gun Owners Radio episode in 3+ years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm an Action Jackson fan. And so I've had dreams about answering this question for you.
Well, it's to both you and the calling guests, so you got your dream come true.
Oh, yeah, I do. So the answer is whatever the closest gun is, but that's a cop-out. I'm not going to stop there.
Yeah.
My daily carry is a SIG P365 XL with a red dot on top. When I'm shooting competition, which I know you're a big fan of, I just started getting into the pistol caliber carbines and built myself an arrow that I use for that. I enjoy that. And then when I'm hunting, my 6.5 Creedmoor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you think, Jackson?
Tell them what your favorite gun is.
Yeah.
My SIG P320 chambered in 9mm.
That's a gun, my brother.
Yep. He's
That's awesome.
knocking them down, too. Huh?
When are you going to the range next, Jackson?
Hopefully
looks at his chauffeur.
Hopefully tomorrow. Awesome. You going with a coach?
Alicia.
She gonna you guys are gonna teach each other? You're pointing at her?
This
that
coach.
Alicia. Oh,
This
that
will
makes sense.
Yes.
You guys are gonna teach each other a couple of moves?
Yeah, Jackson's going to teach me a few things.
Nice. That's
Let's
awesome.
hope so.
Yeah, because she could use the training, huh?
Yes.
Good. I like that.
All right, Mike Pettengill from Personal Protection Academy, and of course, Inland Empire Gun Owner board member as well. So, question that comes up a lot: if you're going to carry, you go get your CCW. You know, they make you take that 8-hour course. It's not enough. It's not enough. The course is just not enough. So it's more of test than it is education anyway.
It's law.
But you go and you take that 8 hours. Now you have your CCW. Now you have your gun. You got your belt. You got your holster. You know, you're doing your thing. You carry for the next 30 years. How much? What's minimum? What's a rule of thumb, or what are your thoughts on training as far as per year, every 2 years, etc.?
So what I tell my students is that you have a new responsibility that's a higher level responsibility than the average guy walking around on the street, and you got to take that serious. And if you're going to carry something on your hip, in your purse, in your fanny pack, that can take someone's life, or defend yours or your family members, you got to be more responsible. What I tell my students is that you need to be shooting a box a month minimum. You go to the range, you have to have something to work on, don't just put holes in paper. You have something to work on, minimum, box a month. And that you should be taking a class from someone once a quarter minimum. And I tell my students, Alicia's got the same thing. You got students that, Alicia, I don't want to train with anybody else. It's just you. I just want to train from you. When I have those students, I say, you know what, I'm not going to let you sign up for another class till you take a class from somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not the answer. And you need to put all the tools in your toolbox, and you need to figure out what tools are going to work best for you. And so, yeah, I tell folks, I don't care. I'm not trying to make money off of you. I'll give you a name of a great instructor to go to. If you think I'm trying to take money from you, you need to take a class a quarter minimum, learn new skills, get new abilities into your tool chest, so that you're more proficient at what you've chosen to be your lifestyle.
Do you have any stories about? Do you have any students, or have you had to defend yourself?
So I've never drawn my weapon. I've never seen anybody shot. Really happy with that. Don't ever want to have that be the case. I'll tell you my story that I love it. And Alicia, get ready to cry, Alicia. This is So I like to take students from. I'm kind of horrified of guns. They kind of scare me, but I think we need to go down that road and get them through safety, through basic stance and grip and sight alignment and sight picture. Then Mike, I think I want to buy a gun, and I think let's figure that out. And then I put 8 guns out. We let them fire those guns, and we're also an FFL, and so then selling them their first gun, and then getting them down the road, get some more training, get a little bit more proficient, and then get them to their CCW, and then keep going from there. So here's the tearjerker, Alicia. So I tell all my students, dry fire, dry fire, dry fire, dry fire. How often should I dry fire, Mike? 10 minutes a day. How often do you dry fire, Mike? Not that. but do 10 minutes a day. Okay, all right, good. So I had a guy, took him from first steps all the way to he's getting to a CCW. Private lessons, the whole thing. And he signed up for the CCW class, and he was showing up for his qualification. And I said, hey, I haven't seen you in 2 months. You've been shooting? No, I haven't fired once. Oh, it's going to be rough. And last time I had seen him, his groups were 2 hands widths.
Wow.
And then when he shot the qual at 15 yards, it was a fist.
Wow.
And I stopped. I'm like, what have you been doing? He looked at me dead serious. He said, you told me to dry fire. And I lifted up my glasses. I said, I got a little tear. And he's like, well, but that's what you told me to do. I'm like, well, yeah, but nobody listens.
Yeah, nobody actually does that.
Yeah, no one dry fires.
No one listens to me. What?
Yeah. So yeah, to me, that's I love that. It's like I got one guy out of several hundred that actually listened and saw his groups go from 14 inches to 3 inches at 15 yards.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of
very
fun.
cool. He must have been super happy.
Yeah, it's fun.
Or scared to death.
Yeah.
I'd say that what you mentioned, that just complete utter fear, I would say that's about 40% of people I'm coming across lately that are coming to me are starting from there.
Yeah.
Which is significantly more than the year prior. It's a huge shift.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out if it's because that's who we cater our business to, or if it's because that's who's coming out of the woodworks more. And I think you're accurate. I think that's more people are starting to say, it's just a weird world out there. I need an option other than 911.
I've had a number of people that came to me that opened up with just a disclaimer. I've always hated guns. I don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts.
Yeah. I've had a couple people, we talked about this earlier. I had a husband and wife, and they called, they set up the appointment, and we showed up, and I'm like, this is a lot of attitude for someone that called me. And about 20, 30 minutes in, she said, I just want you to know I hate guns. And I'm like, well, you're at the right place. I said, this is how you get up. Well, I don't think anyone should own a gun, but my husband's insisting on it, and we used to be anti-gun advocates, and
wow.
And like, good. And second lesson, she had flipped on her head herself, and she had gotten herself there. And she's like, you're not all like I thought you were. I thought you guys were all something else. But the fact that you told me a gun may not be a good option for me, the first time you said that, I'm like, this is the guy I want to learn from.
Yeah. And
you can't, John Rambo can't teach everyone, right?
Right.
Or
anyone. But, and
that would be a long lesson.
Yeah.
From John Rambo.
Yeah.
Do you know John Rambo?
Do I?
That's right.
I've seen the documentary. Nothing is over.
Nothing.
John Wick class. How's that?
John Wick 4 coming out soon.
There you go.
Is it coming up?
It is.
Oh, right.
How do you? You know what? We got like 2 minutes. How someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to be a gun owner." How do you determine what gun they should have as their first gun?
So we own a lot of guns for the business and for ourselves. We put them all on the table, and it's what feels good to you. I can't stand when a woman comes to me and says, well, my husband or the guy at the gun shop said I'm a woman, so I need to have this little pink small gun, and I just look at him. I say, do you let men pick out your shoes? Well, no. Why? Why on God's earth would you let a man pick out your gun? You need to figure out what's best for you. But I don't have any knowledge. I want people to put a gun in their hand, and I want them to fire it.
Hey, a self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to the commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why the USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. So to discover more about the USCCA, you need to visit their website at uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
All right, time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. We found out that Sam, my nephew, is particularly good at gun trivia years ago, so now we have him on every week. Send in a question, and we ask him live on the air. He has no ability to prepare, and if you stump my nephew, we give you a super special prize. But just for sending in your question, if we use it on the air, we'll give you a hat or a shirt. So, Sam, you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Fantastic. I heard you were you had a beautiful mother-son bonding moment today.
Yes, we were sifting through the family firearm collection to update the insurance rider.
That's
very exciting stuff.
Yeah, mother or son. That's a.
There you go.
Dave, did you and your mom do that a lot?
Oh, all the time.
That's what I thought. I thought it was really. Send me some cool pictures. All right, Mike Pettengill. We're gonna have you ask Sam the question. Mike is he runs Personal Protection Academy, and he won the Gun Owners Radio Takeover. So he's been in the studio here, and boom! Without further ado, go for it.
All right, Sam. Oliver from Aliso Viejo asks, what 20-grain rimfire cartridge goes 3,000 feet per second?
Oliver from Aliso Viejo, thanks for writing in. It was important that you specified what 20-grain, what was it, what 20-grain 22 caliber round?
20-grain rimfire cartridge.
20-grain rimfire cartridge goes 3,000 feet per second. Because there are a lot of rounds that go 3,000 feet per second. But 20-grain rimfire, I'm going to say, oh, man, that's a tough one. Because part of me wants to say
you started strong there. I was believing you had it.
I thought so too.
Well, now I'm second guessing myself.
Just go with your gut.
20-grain rimfire cartridge goes
20-grain rimfire. So part of me wants to say 17 HMR, but then the other part of me wants this is a tough one. It's going to be.
You know what? Wait before you answer. Before you give an
throw up.
Yeah, give a couple. What are some options?
Give us your first actual thought before you go to the next one.
Well, so my instinct is telling me 17 HMR, but I don't think 17 HMR is powerful enough to push 3,000. Another possibility is it could be some obscure wildcat that I'm not familiar with.
I'll tell you that it's not a wildcat round.
Okay.
I don't think, Mike, is that a wildcat? No, it's not a wildcat round.
And it's not going to be 22 Hornet because 22 Hornet is not rimfire; it's centerfire. Oh. I don't think it's 22 Magnum. I'm just gonna say 17 HMR, even though I know that's not it.
Mike, read the answer for us.
17 Winchester Super Magnum WSM rimfire cartridge. It shoots a 20-grain polymer-tipped projectile at over 3,000 feet per second, descending from a concrete nail gun. This cartridge holds the world title for the fastest rimfire cartridge.
Wow. Nice job, Oliver. That's Oliver from Aliso Viejo. You're going to get that's perfect because you're going to get gun prom tickets at Orange County's Gun Prom, which is coming up in May. Very, very cool. Okay, so 17 Winchester Super Magnum.
Yeah, great question. Tough question.
It's polymer tipped projectile. What's this? Why do they polymer tip the projectiles?
That's just going to be like a VMAX bullet or equivalent. It's like all the flavor of a hollow point, but half the fat, if you will. It's more aerodynamic than a proper hollow point.
So does that help it get to 3,000 feet per second?
It's going to help it retain that velocity.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right. Excellent information. Sorry that you got stumped. Mike Pettengill is a big fan of the show. He said his one wish coming in is that you got the question right this week. Of course you didn't. Oh, well. Great.
Sorry to disappoint.
Little tear, Sam. Little tear.
So let's talk about your article. What did you write this week?
This week's blog post was about the caliber everyone loves to hate, 40 Smith & Wesson.
I liked this article. The caliber that everybody loves to hate. So talk about it.
So working in a gun store, I have observed that like pretty much the only thing gun guys love more than shooting is arguing. And we can't shoot all the time, so we have to spend the rest of our time arguing. And a perennial topic of argument is 40 Smith & Wesson. Some people swear by it. Usually people with a law enforcement background swear by it. They say it's the final word in stopping power, and you get the best of both worlds, the capacity of a 9mm and the power of a 45. Other people such as me say that the world would be a better place if 40 Smith & Wesson had never been invented, because it's just a waste of time and resources that could be put into other rounds. But so in the blog post, you can all read it on the websites of all the organizations, SDCGO, IEGO, and OCGO. And so I go into the history of the 40 a little bit and talk about, first of all, why it exists, and second, why would anyone choose it, and why would someone pass it over?
The 40 cal is kind of the Nickelback of ammo. People, it just kind of got fun and cool to hate it. So so everybody just kind of jumps on it.
You could also say it's like the Nickelback in that, like, it's kind of a meme at this point that everyone hates it, but a lot of people can't really articulate why.
I remember when I bought my Glock. I bought my Glock in '98. That's when I became a gun owner. It was early '98.
So that was peak 40, pretty much.
I was about to say, everybody was hot on the 40 back then. Everybody was hot on the 40 back then. And it was they were kind of, I'll be honest with you, they were kind of snooty about it too. Oh, I got a 40. You just went with your 9mm? No. So part of me doesn't feel bad for them at all. But my understanding is, and I can't remember if you included this in the article, but part of the death of the 40 was Afghanistan. Afghanistan and then Iraq. They were sending federal law enforcement over to, overseas, in Afghanistan. So they're basically on a military base, and the military wasn't using 40. They were using 9, and the federal law enforcement was using 40. But now they're out in the middle of the desert, and they don't have rounds, so they all kind of switched over to 9mm. That's my understanding. Is that how accurate was that?
So I didn't mention that in the article. In the blog post. Excuse me.
It's not an article. It's a blog post.
But I really focus more on the domestic law enforcement and civilian side of it. But one of the really cool things about 40 that I actually didn't mention, that maybe I should have, is that if you're interested in a 40, like let's say you have a big supply of ammo or something. Or just for whatever reason you want something in 40 Smith & Wesson, you can pick up one of the guns really cheap because all these law enforcement agencies surplused them out, and a lot of people who had 40s got rid of them and moved to 9mm because the ammo is cheaper. So you could, I don't know how it is in California, but on this side of the country, you can get a Smith & Wesson M&P in 40 for like $300, pretty much used.
Outstanding.
And the ammo, there's a lot of law enforcement guys out there from agencies that used to issue 40 who are sitting on thousands and thousands of rounds and don't have anything to do with it.
That's what holds up my bed.
Oh, yeah. Mike, you a fan of the 40?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I like them.
What do you got? What's your main 40?
What's your favorite gun?
Well, we
Old English? No, that's a whole different kind of 40.
I got a Glock and a Shield that are chambered in 40.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, you like them in particular? Or?
Yeah, I mean it's the happy medium between the arguments of the stopping power and the magazine capacity.
We as a community make mountains out of molehills.
Yeah,
I mean it's just ridiculous. It's a fine shooting firearm. Like I said, I really truly I just thought of that here when you were talking, but they are kind of they're the Nickelback of ammo. It just kind of got cool and fun to make fun of them, and but yeah, they're fine. They're awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any subgroup in the U.S. that argues about dumb stuff more than gun owners.
Yeah, truthful. Maybe I think we rival only Star Trek fans.
Car guys.
2 minutes.
I don't know. Maybe
their cars.
What do they argue about? What's a big argument in the car world?
Theirs is better than yours.
Well,
I mean, really. Look how much you gloat about that Jeep.
I love my Jeep.
I know. The only guy I know that has a tow truck following him everywhere he goes.
All right. We're going to end on that note.
I think we should.
Jerk.
Jerk. Mr. Jerk.